Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 9th, 2021 at approximately 1:05 p.m. PST. Well, I guess it's time we should get to work. Anyway, I've gotten a fair chunk done today, but I wasn't going to do this online, but I'm going to right now because, well, frankly, I keep getting sidetracked, so I figure this way, as soon as I get done the video, I will get started on what is required. So, my painting desk is already cleared. I don't need to worry about it. My writing desk is, for the most part, cleared, but I've got some stuff I'm working on. However, these shelves are sitting right beside me. There are, there's six, including the top. So what we do, this just gives you an idea of how to deal with it. Now, because of the fact that the desk is set up the way it is, this is just a standard board, standard sheet of paper, no tricks. Okay, like you needed that being said. But this is what I mean by breaking things down. I've got 6 shelves here, if you include the top. So in order to get everything done, we take all 6 shelves and we mark them off. Okay, and then we simply design what's going on the top. Well, the top shelf will be an ornament of some form. Okay, don't know what at this point, but then that's why it's called of some form. The second shelf, I'm leaving my new dice on. When it comes to the Yldrbacian Chronicles, and I think I've shown you this before, but I'll do that at a different point. I've got a set of dice I've actually built for the Chronicles. Because in the Yldrbacian Chronicles, in spite of the world going to heck in a handbasket, there is a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons or a variation thereof in the middle of the game. Okay. Hence why, and this is where you find out that gamers aren't necessarily the rough and tumble or the really weird people. I mean, yeah, they're a little different, certainly, but everybody is in their own way. So the second shelf, I'm going to leave the new dice on. The new dice sets. Because, well, I gotta put them somewhere. Now, I've got 2 shelves, and I've reached over to these before, where I've got these figures. Okay, some like this one are painted, and if you look at the bottom, you'll see the bottom isn't painted. Okay, that's just a silver dragon. So, I'm going to put the painted ones on top, the large painted. The large ones that I have that are not painted, I'll set on shelf 4. And this is just an issue of moving these around as soon as I get done this video. Okay. Now, then we go down one more. And on the 5th shelf, the second from the bottom, I've got 2 drawers that I put there that contain very necessary things, like, for instance, my stapler. Easy reach. Like I said, organize your room. Organize your office so it's easy to work with. Okay. Now, the reason for that is the more organized you are, the easier the energy runs, the more effective you're going to be in attaining your goals. Now, it was a similar list to this that got my painting section completely sorted out. Okay. Now, on the bottom shelf, because of the fact I'm a firm believer that being safe is better than being sorry, I've simply put a couple of weights on the bottom. Okay, quite literally, they are simply concrete blocks. But that is to give a bottom weight to the shelf so it doesn't accidentally fall over. Now, that being said, those shelves are now organized, so I don't have to, well, more to the point, they're laid out. And this is the other side of that. So I've got that sorted around, at least on paper. Sure, get everything in. This is what I get for not clearing my desk first. Yes, I do work with tarot cards. But then, this is one of the many tools I work with. Okay, so you get things organized and put them where you have to. Now, this little box here simply has. Now, this is one of those things I send out anytime I sell a book. this bookmark goes with it. And you'll notice it says something rather important. Okay, the back of it is one of the first booklets I wrote, which says, in case you can't read it, it says, believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Again, this really is a reminder that when you have an idea in mind, when you've got this goal that you'd like to attain, absolutely go after it. Do not buy into the idea that it can't be done. There's very little on the planet that cannot be done. Okay, very little. There's some things I wouldn't recommend. Of course, personally, I wouldn't recommend skydiving, but then, in all fairness, I've never found a logical reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft. I'm sort of the belief that, if you're patient, the plane will land. And like I told one person when they tried to talk me into it, I says, look, if the plane is not having problems, I'll wait patiently. If it is having problems, slap a parachute on me and push me out the door. Do me a favor and pull the chute while you're doing it so I don't freeze up on the way down. I'm not afraid of heights. I just don't see the point in, and the fall doesn't kill very many people. It actually, very few people die from the fall. The sudden impact, on the other hand, is another problem. That does a lot of damage to a lot of people. Now, these figures that I'm moving are simply ones that are sitting here that are not painted. And yes, I've got a lot of them. As it works out, I've got something in excess of 400 of them. Now, this is one that'll go on the shelf above. As you can see, it's partially painted. This is just one of those little things I said. It's every step you take. Right. Now, we could go into the other thing of every move you make, but that's a whole different thing, and you don't want to hear me sing. So, we take these figures and get them out of the way, because the ones that are not painted yet are going to go back on this shelf. I just want to make sure that the ones that aren't painted are actually the ones that are going on that shelf. Okay. Yeah, some of these figures are intriguing. Like this here is a giant. Now, I'll show you. No, I won't show you right now. I've got figures these are all done relatively to scale. So these ones are not painted right now. So they can go on this shelf here because I don't need them up and about. Oh, I can do that. This is a giant. Now, this is a standard-sized human. Well, actually, this isn't human, but it is about 5 feet tall. Now, this gives you an idea of the different sizes of figures. Now, in the Yldrbac Chronicles, you'll find some of these creatures. Okay, and yes, I am in the process of painting them, so there are specific figures that I'm working with, to represent a specific individual. Have no idea what this one is yet. Don't really care at this point. Ought to be interesting to paint it, though. So we just move a couple of things out of the way, and we stand them up. These are being stood up, so I don't have to try and restand them. Right. But this is just one of those little techniques, one step at a time, to get the figures out of the way, to get them organized, so that I actually can make things work. Now, when you've got a goal in mind, when you've got an idea for a project. Now, somebody I was talking to, as a matter of fact, when I took my entrepreneurial course back in 1996, I actually designed a gaming store. Did all the research, figured out where to get the supplies from, figured out what kind of overhead I was looking at, worked the whole thing out. Funny part about it was that even then I didn't know how to go small, I suspect. I was asked by one of my classmates. He goes, "How many people do you think you're going to employ?" I looked at him and I went, 100,000. And he goes, 100,000 people to run a hobby shop? I says, yeah. He goes, we're talking small business. I says, no, you're talking small business. I'm talking self-employment. Now, I don't have all the numbers that I had back then, but I do have the know-how on how to get them. See, I'm no longer looking at opening a hobby store. Okay, I am looking at getting my books sold properly, and that's something I'm working on right now. It's just right now it's easier to do this while I'm sitting here. I think all of these ones up here, yeah, those are all except for maybe that one. And I can't quite reach, so I'm going to. Oh, he's even painted. Yep. Well, that one isn't. Okay. So we got one other figure here that wasn't painted. So, now that didn't work well, did it? One of the drawbacks of these figures is they do have a tendency of being a little finicky. But considering the fact that I've got so many of them, it's not surprising that I've got a few that are being a little bit temperamental. Now, that has moved the figures I've got. So the ones that are partially painted are up on the shelf it belongs on. The ones that are not painted at all are on the next shelf down, and I've got a whole pile over there. Now, here's the thing. That is just one step. While I've been sitting here talking to you, I took 6 shelves, and I moved what I had to in order to make certain that I got things organized. Now, these little drawers I was talking about, well, that I certainly don't need. The reason I'm putting it over here is because I can't go very far. This is called a hand grip. Simply something that if I get a little tense or if my hands get a little stiff, this works really well from a little bit of an exercise distraction. This funny little thing, don't panic on it, it's nothing serious, it's just ant killer. Why it's in here, I don't rightly know, but I was looking for it, so I'm going to put it over here and get it where it belongs. Now, this little thing is, what is this? Oh, look at that. It is a postage paid, what is this? From me to you, it's just simply something that Canada Post put out. And considering it's already stamped, throwing it out doesn't make a lot of sense. But on the other hand, I don't need it in this drawer. That one will get moved in a second. And as you can tell, I'm eliminating things I don't really require. Now these, what is it? Oh, that's a couple of zip drives that I don't want in public, in amongst the rest of them. So this eliminates a lot of stuff. Now again, as you're sorting out, you will find something very important out. And what you'll find is that no matter how you do it, okay, you're going to find the place looks a little bit more disjointed as you go along than it does before you even get started. So yeah, I'm definitely doing something while I'm talking to you because, well, frankly, kind of necessary. I don't sit well, in case you hadn't noticed. But this is an issue of really taking a look at what you've done, what you're aiming at building. Right, at whatever project you've got on the go, and not sitting around waiting. Because if you sit around waiting, what happens, if you're waiting for somebody else to do it, you'll be waiting a long time. And besides that, you're the only one that can actually be successful for you. Okay, if you desire to be successful, you're going to have to be the one doing it. Now, absolutely, if you've got something in mind that you'd like to look into doing, drop me a line at one of the contact points below. I'll be more than happy to give you my input. Okay. Because, much as it's a wonderful thought that you can do it on your own, and I do encourage you to do it on your own, but to get your own dream to happen, you may need to talk to somebody that's done something similar effectively. Like, if you're looking for me to tell you how to become a millionaire, don't bother. I will tell you the steps necessary, but being as I've never become a millionaire, and frankly, a lot of the reason there is I have no interest in it. At this point, it's another issue. Okay, at this point, being a millionaire would be really beneficial, but not for necessarily the ideas that you're thinking. See, from my standpoint, I end up with a surplus income, and I will be able to help more people. But I made a decision the other day. The other day, by the way, being yesterday. No, yesterday was Wednesday. I made a very definitive decision that effective immediately, I am holding up from the world for the next 2 to 3 months minimum. And it may well be until after Christmas. I will go out once in a while, but not much. At this point, it looks like all I'm going to be doing is getting out long enough to get my munchkin to work or to school. And frankly, in his case, he may well start to walk. And if he does that, I won't have to leave the house at all. I've already done major shopping for the next 4 months. Next 3 to 4 months, I got all the food in the house I require, aside from a couple of perishables. But with that in mind, I'll be focusing on straightening this house out, and getting the office running completely properly, which is why I just emptied that that drawer and cleared those shelves. Now that was noisy, wasn't it? Now, with that in mind, I lost my pen. I really did. There it is. Just about out of reach. There we go. Sorry about that. Now, as I've mentioned before, this is a live recording. Okay, meaning I don't go back and change anything. It's just, it seemed to me that I've got all these different projects on the go. It's time to get some of them dealt with. So I've dealt with that. And where is that other list I have? What the heck is this? Oh, yes. I was looking into some astrological stuff for somebody. And that's just the notes I need for it. Now, as far as this goes, most of what's on this list has already been accomplished. This was just starting to sort things out. Again, you pick an area so that you pick a way that your room is set up, so that the energy runs smoothly. So I've got a number of things here that will be moved as soon as I get off, like this neat little thing. Yeah, you would not believe what I found out about that. This is metformin. It was prescribed to me. Well, it was metformin. I've now run out. It was prescribed to me because of diabetes. I'm not going to go into what I found out about it, but I will tell you it is fascinating if you go onto the internet and you look at the FDA at the medical websites, at the authorization boards. It is absolutely fascinating what you'll find out about it. So, it's empty. I don't need it anymore. That's my recycling bin down there, by the way. Okay. Now, so I've got my writing station here, which now has to be cleared off, but I can't do that until I get up because there's stuff that's got to be moved to various different places. But with that in mind, okay, the more organized things get, the easier the energy in your office will work. The easier your energy works, the easier it's going to be to attain that little goal there. The one that says, I have legally attained $2,000 by September 30th of 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Now, at this point this month, I haven't earned a thing. Okay. But that's because payday is on the 15th. So when payday comes around, I will take a look at that. And considering the fact I've just shared off my going out, that will save me a staggering amount of money. Because I was spending, even in my eyes, I was spending too much. So now that I've done that, I'm going to be concentrating. Yeah, gravity works. I will be concentrating on rebuilding the funding that I require. Now, what is this? I don't think that works anymore. Of course, it could be wrong. Nope, I think that means the battery's dead, though. This is a little flashlight. Yep, it is. And I do believe I have those, so the AAA batteries. But this is just one of those little things. As you can tell, I don't exactly organize things necessarily in the way that I've got to do them. So these batteries can go out the window, because I certainly don't require them. But with that in mind, now that I've got that out, when I get done this video, I will go and deal with that. But like I said, it boils down to getting the energy in your office worked out properly so you can function. Now, I do believe on my screen overhead here, I do that, I can go there, and yes, I've got my financial page up there. Thought I had it up and running. And the reason I do that is to be able to do a lot, to be able to keep track of the money. Because the reality is, in order to run a household, in order to run a business, you've got to have the money running nicely. Now, the funny part is the government keeps telling people, you've got to run a balanced budget, which I absolutely agree with in principle. Now, I have a problem with the idea of the budget because for me, a budget simply works if you've got a definitive amount of money coming in. I don't. However, tracking where your money goes will help immensely. And that is what led me to a lot of the changes I've made since May. When I got my money in January, I cleared a whole pile of debt, which was great. Problem was I didn't clear the problem, which was up here. In May, it dawned on me I hadn't cleared the problem. And so May and June, I really worked hard to get my head on straight. Now I know what I'm looking at. And now I can start rebuilding. So did I make a mess of things? Absolutely. This is why I don't say, oh, by the way, I'm perfect. Do exactly what I do. I'll tell you right now, do exactly what I didn't do. Or more to the point, as one song I saw put it, doing everything exactly as I do, only totally different. Okay, and what I mean by that is do not procrastinate in correcting the thinking process that has brought you to where you are. You're in exactly the same place as everybody else in existence. You're right here, right now. And the message I return to pass on to the entirety of existence is that working together, we can make this a better world for pretty much everybody. But it is going to require the assistance of everybody involved. And yes, that is definitive. Somebody asked me the other day if that was coffee. And yeah, it really is. I used to drink a 26er of rye a night. Okay, here's a little totally useless fact. I used to drink Crown Royal. Quite often, I would drink it. If I was drinking pop with it, it was usually rye and ginger. If I wasn't, I'd mix other drinks on occasion. Remember one day, a bad idea, I mixed rye and rum. By the way, this is a bad combination. Way too much of a kick. But I do like rye neat or rye on the rocks. Okay, and for those of you that don't know what that means, that boils down to put ice cubes in the tray and pour the rye over it. Now, the thing is, I've been working in the office all morning. Okay. And by working in the office all morning, I've managed to get a number of things sorted around. But I figured I better take the time out and get started here. Tomorrow, now let's see, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is that. So I think what I'm going to do tomorrow for the journey is we're going to take a look and we're definitively, when we get done this video, we're going to put that list together. But I'm going to go back and we're going to take a look at the process of getting a story that you're sitting on, whether it's your life story, whether it's totally fantasy, whether it's a science book, like a research project, doesn't matter. But I think tomorrow we're going to start, well, never mind thinking. Tomorrow, we're just going to get started on this idea of doing definitive steps. So tomorrow we're going to take a look at the storyline. Okay. At whatever it is. And this is whether it's fantasy, whether it's a fiction story, whether it is, truth based on reality, whether it is your life. I've got a number of people I've talked to that would like to get their own life story written down. And that can be done. There are some cautions. Okay, now, am I an author? Yes. Am I a world-renowned author? No. Okay. Quite frankly, it really boils down to an issue of I decided to write the story because I desired it to be written. Now, if I can get it sold, that's fantastic. Okay, that's a bonus. Am I going to stop based on whether I sell it or not? No. The important factor for me is getting the story written before I die. That's the reality behind my goal. My goal where it comes to this video is to reach as many people as possible with a very simple message. Working together, we can make this a better world for everyone. Well, for almost everyone. But it's going to require your assistance. So absolutely, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And remember, don't forget to hit the alert button so that you get the new videos as they come out. Now, that said, my goal is very simple. I'm not expecting to reach this number in a real hurry because I'm not in this for the race side of it. I'm not in this for a quick haul. I'm just trying to find out just so I can actually give you, and I can't give you a counting of it right now. I go to my channel here, and we are currently at a whopping now. How is this for a big number? Not 145 subscribers. Now, my goal at this point is to get to 150. Okay, now 5 more subscribers is not going to be much. Okay, I'm not striving to compete with anybody but me. It's the same as I was challenging myself to get my blood pressure and my weight under control without medication. Well, I'll tell you, having looked into the medication I was put on, okay, it's a good thing I got my blood pressure and what have you under control. Because I no longer am going after the medication. I don't need a doctor to tell me whether I do and whether I require it or not. Okay. But tomorrow we're going to take a look at laying out the storyline. Okay, and we'll get you started. So if you're interested in getting a story written, regardless of what the story is, maybe it is simply a reference manual you're striving to build. Okay, we're going to go through the thinking process of how to do that. And then, based on whatever questions come in or whatever remarks are put on the comments below, then we'll figure out what the next ones are. But I think at this point, it really is, I know at this point, for me, it's very important to start giving people definitive tools to make their project work. So that you can be successful for you. Because frankly, you're the only one in existence that can be successful for you. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to bring this to a close, and I will be back tomorrow. Okay, until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.